This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Friday, November 15. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Thanks for joining us. Our top story. Police are investigating a stabbing incident involving two students from the St. Leonard's Boys School. According to lawmen, a 14-year-old boy stabbed a 16-year-old along Barbados Hill, St. Michael today. The victim suffered an injury to the rib, while the alleged attacker is in police custody. Education authorities, law enforcers, counselors, teachers, and parents and students today attempted to plot the way forward for the Frederick Smith Secondary School, which has been rocked by last Friday's fatal stabbing of student Tamario Holder. After more than 6 hours of talks, Education Minister Santia Bradshaw says while they have made headway in addressing some concerns, a decision is still to be taken on when the school will reopen.
It is a very delicate situation. Some persons are ready to return to school. Some persons are having some emotional difficulties also, going back into the same environment. And our counselors have been working with them to be able to get them to a position where they feel more comfortable going back into the school environment. As of right this minute, we are about to have a briefing with all of the counselors, the main team from the psychiatric hospital, the chairman of the board, the principal of the school, and our senior psychologists in the Ministry of Education and the ministry officials who are part of student support services to look at the way forward. We've had the first discussion with all the persons who would have led the sessions with the individual students as well as the parents, and we are now in a position, I believe, to just come up with some ideas in terms of how do we move forward for next week.
Union leaders were particularly pleased that today's meeting was shifted to the Alexandra School. Representatives from both the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union and the Barbados Union of Teachers are optimistic the talks will yield positive results.
The original plan would have been for the students and teachers to meet at the school, and she immediately changed and made arrangements for us to use the school. And I think that it was an excellent move, and it has started a process for the teachers and children together to begin the healing together.
We are happy that in some regards that teachers are being given the opportunity to grieve. It is a troubling event. Hopefully it will never happen again in the history of Barbados, and whatever steps can be taken to ensure that teachers are comfortable in the working environment.
Some parents were happy with the opportunity to vent concerns, and they shared their views on how the situation should be addressed.
If I can pray like 2 hours, I got to pray overnight, morning, noon, and night. It is going to take a lot for a parent now to sit down and actually send that child back into that situation.
If a teacher spends so much time of the day, so much hours in one day with a child, then the teacher should be trained in that area too to pick up some of these things and therefore relate then to the parent. And then as a ministry, there should be something in place where a parent could go and get some help for a child at an early stage. Most of the things that are in place that I know of is private. Anything that is private is cost for a heavy dollar.
Everything Minister said was right. I agree with everything she said. But there's some people had some comments that I didn't really care for, because especially the corporal punishment, I hate that. Because they got teachers that beat up kids because they don't like them.
Students of the Frederick Smith Secondary School have launched a fundraising drive to assist Tamario Holder's family with the funeral expenses. Some of his peers spoke with our news team, and they said the tragedy has been a difficult experience.
Tamario was like a brother to me. From the first time that he came to school, we didn't never get along together. But as we come up, and for a firm, we and he did still not getting along together, but from firm, yeah, he start to get closer. So I was here to see him mother going through thing, saying it this year, and she can't afford the courses. So me and my sister try to help him, help his parents and family in what we can do. So yeah, how we get this fundraising thing.
How are you, your friend group, how is your friend group coping with his loss? His death, sorry.
I was, when I went downstairs and I saw him, I was shocked at first. So then, I didn't get a good night's sleep, but then after that, I started to take it in that he gone now. So that's all I could do. Nobody can't do nothing else about it.
We came out from first farm. We came out to first farm as friends, and it became, we grew our friendship together. So it was a big impact on me.
How were you coping with this?
Well, coping, not really well, to be honest, because it just hit hard when you lost somebody that you was close with.
Tamario will be missed because he brought life to the classroom, and I just want to say that I'm sorry that it happened like that and it couldn't get solved. At first, like, I couldn't sleep by thinking about it and how close it was to me.
What do you think
I felt bad.
What do you think needs to be done to make our schools safe?
Like, in certain cases, cameras could get put in place in the areas where people don't be, because that's the place, them is the places where people will want to go and hang out and stuff, because the teachers ain't gonna be passing, nobody ain't be passing to see them there, so they want to go there to get away from them.
Meanwhile, the male student charged with Holder's murder appeared in the Whole Town Magistrates Court today and was remanded to the Government Industrial School in connection with the November 8 offense. In other news this Friday, Government Today received a positive report card from the International Monetary Fund on the performance of the economy. But Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Rand Strawn, says the Mia Motley administration is not only targeting economic growth, but is also focused on ensuring the people benefit from the transformation.
And whilst we continue to meet our quantitative targets, we are very conscious that there are still remedies with respect to a lot of the social conditions which this space allows the government the opportunity to respond to. And so our focus, yes, is on meeting the quantitative targets, and we have done so successfully. This now allows for the government, through the interaction with the other state-owned enterprises, to be able to help improve the quality and the delivery of services that the public should anticipate from its government as it relates to any taxes or fees that will be introduced, such that the confidence in government will be returned, so that citizens will be aware that it has a government that is there to represent their interests.
Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund's Deputy Chief for the Caribbean, Bert Van Selm, says the island has met all its targets at the end of September under the extended fund facility. He is particularly pleased that government reached a debt restructuring deal with external creditors last month. He says this will reap dividends.
So you can expect when the exercise is wrapped up, which is scheduled to happen in mid-December, upgrades from Standard & Poor's and from Moody's, and that sort of sends a signal to the whole investment community out there, whether it be foreign direct investment or people who are interested in buying bond or debt instruments, that Barbados is doing better and that it is truly open for business. So we think this will mark a very important moment, not just from the perspective of having lower interest rates, having a grace period for 5 years on this external debt, having a significant principal haircut, as we call it, so an immediate reduction of the debt. All of that is very important for the macroeconomic framework, but perhaps even more important is the signal that it sends to the global community.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news now, health authorities in the Bahamas are taking action to assist scores of residents who remain traumatized following the passage of Hurricane Dorian.
Well, health officials seeking to assist Bahamians who were left traumatized by Hurricane Dorian. Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Dwayne Sands, believes the recent Category 5 storm that ravaged Grand Bahama and Abaco has left severe psychological scars on the nation. He says his ministry is hoping to provide support.
We are already seeing signs of anxiety disorders, stress responses, people acting out, children with insomnia, and so on and so forth, nightmares. So we have engaged a number of local psychologists, international psychologists, and we continue to engage teams. We are going to continue to ramp up this activity.
And on the international front, President Donald Trump launched a Twitter attack on a former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine today while she was testifying in an impeachment hearing in Congress in a move that Democrats said amounted to witness intimidation.
I mean, I can't speak to what the president is trying to do, but I think the effect is to be intimidating.
Testimony from former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine Marie Yovanovitch, who says she was pushed out by President Donald Trump for fighting corruption in Ukraine, was interrupted during her open hearing on Capitol Hill by Trump himself, who in a tweet dragged the distinguished diplomat as having a poor track record. In the tweet, Trump said, quote, "Everywhere Marie Yovanovitch went turned bad. She started off in Somalia. How did that go? Then fast forward to Ukraine, where the new Ukrainian president spoke unfavorably about her in my second phone call with him. It is a U.S. president's absolute right to appoint ambassadors." Democrat Adam Schiff, the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, asked for her reaction to the attack in real time.
As we sit here testifying, the president is attacking you on Twitter. But would you like to respond to the president's attack that everywhere you went turned bad?
I actually think that where I've served over the years, I and others have demonstrably made things better, for the U.S. as well as for the countries that I've served in.
And that's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.